back to the marketplace. Oh, because we never left, really, did we? No, we never left. So we just took a bit of a charting, as it were, to some stocks. Yesterday, we dwelt a little bit on some of the listed banks that's been in the news towards the end of last year. Access Bank and Diamond Bank planned corporate wedlock. They said that will happen in the first 6 months of this year. We're waiting to hear more from them. Then, of course, we got Sterling Bank moving from the moon to be a rising sun. That's great. That's the banking sector. Today, we'll go a little bit, changing gear a little bit and talk about Lafarge Africa. And we mentioned that yesterday. Lafarge Africa is one big cement giant. Well, that was until Dangote Cement came on stream, and then Lafarge Africa has been struggling in the business. So let's chat to that a little bit. Then, of course, we'll talk about Forty Oil and try to follow Ofemi Otodola and find wherever he is and whatever he's doing as he plans to sell 75% of his stake in Forty Oil PLC. Follow the money. Let's go with cement. Temple Ashaju, business correspondent, live from the stock exchange. Temple, let's talk to Lafarge. It's currently doing a rights issue.
Right issue of more than 7 billion ordinary shares of 50 kobo. We know that investors are actually getting 6 new shares for every 7 held in this market. It's a heavy one, and of course we know how WAPCO, that is Lafarge, in recent time has been indebted to some other institutions due to a loan that was taken. That has also reflected on their books for the past quarters, quarterly financial statements that was released at the Nigerian Stock Exchange. So this brings us to the chart here, talking about the downtrends that we've seen on this company in recent time. First of all, last week alone, we know that it did some 10% losses in the market. That's for last week. It last traded around 11 naira 30 kobo for up until Monday, where the week that we are currently in at this point in time. If we look at the support level and of course the resistance level, it has changed over a couple of over the past few weeks. We see that right now the support level is around 11 naira 75 kobo. Because again, if you look at the price, it is hovering around 11 naira 12 naira in the system.
Okay, Temple, just a second. Just a second, Temple. Let's bring it up. Let's bring it up. Let's get our production team to give us that chart, giving us a bit of an 8 to 9 year price view of Lafarge Africa. Of course, this went way back when it was still WAPCO Nigeria PLC, and see what Temple's talking about, those key resistance and key support levels. And we've seen about 3 of that. Key resistance level 1, key resistance level 2, and key support level at 11 naira 75. This was a stock, Temple. This was a stock that was selling for 70 naira per share in the year 2012. Now it's selling for just about, where is it right now? About 11 naira?
11 naira, yeah, between 11 naira and 12 naira.
That's over a 6-year period. This was a company that was selling for stocks for 17 naira, now it's about 11 naira. And that shows how hard Lafarge Africa had fallen. Okay, go ahead, Temple.
So, yeah, we know that there's been this price war between the company and, of course, a whole lot of the peers that we have in its sector here in the market. We have the likes of Dangote Cement, you have CCNN, you have Boa Group, you have Elephant Cement, you have a whole lot of cements, you know, in the cement subsector in the Nigerian market at large, and of course in the subsector here quoted on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. And we know that the price war looks like something that has really impacted a lot of the companies there. At the point in time, one of the competitors was able to reduce the price of cement to 1,000 naira, and then that became a problem for the likes of WAPCO. What analysts are saying basically is that WAPCO is one of the major companies that can really cope with the price trend, no matter how the competition swings in the market. Again, remember that in the period ending of 2017 up until the greater part of last year, 2018, we saw low demand for cement in these markets, basically, and that ended up impacting reacting on the cement subsector in the market. So that translates to what we've seen in terms of the price, share price decline that we've seen here between the period 2014 down to when it was actually trading, 2014 when it was actually trading at 70 naira or thereabouts, and then it fell to 35 naira in that period. Now it's now around 11 naira 30 kobo. That, of course, reflects the profit margin, which has a lot of debts that the company has been grappling with. But a lot of analysts are bullish on this particular company 2019 going forward, hoping that with the right issue and the fact that a lot of investors will bring in more money for them to be able to clear the backlogs of debts will help bring it back to profitability.
Well, Tempo, this is trying to balance the books for Lafarge Africa. Again, it's been a very tight business. This is one company that is love to hate the Dangote Cement, its main rival, arch rival. That is, it's not, no love lost between these two cement companies, if you want to put it that way. So let's be brutal about the truth here. Well, let's bring that chart a little bit, and just to wrap it up, for our viewers to see that in a bit of bold relief, where you see the sharp decline from the top of the candlestick for Lafarge sometime in 2014, like Temple said, when the sharp decline in share price of Lafarge Africa begin to come down. You can see the top right there, where the middle of the page, where you find a very sharp price now to about 11.30 on the NSE board. You can see that that's the company losing about 91.74% in market value in just about 4 years, and we're just starting a new year, 2019, and Lafarge is yet to see a major uptick. But of course, if you look at the last two sessions, we've seen a bit of coming back, perhaps on the back of the rights issue that is currently in the marketplace. Thank you, Tempo. But let's move on to Forty Oil and talk about this. When billionaires move and they're moving shares or they're moving money, folks seem to peel their eyes and ask what is going on with Forty Oil. This is one company. Let's bring the chart. Tempo, just a second. Let's introduce this chart to our viewers. And you can see where over the period of about 9 years, since 2010, technically, when Forty Oil, of course, as soon as it got out of these AP years, begin to move in terms of share price, going as high as 154 Naira company, and then we begin to see the price coming down again. You look at the entire industry. Temple, talk us through it. Do you know what, have any idea what Femi Otedola is thinking and what is he doing?
I got no idea because I don't know his mind. But we know in the media space that he actually showed interest in politics at a point in time, and then all of a sudden that then waned, fizzled away. And at a point in time, we heard again that he is divesting. These are some of these are actually rumors which we don't actually deal with at all until we then got the
you have been
press
warned.
statement.
Buy on the rumors, sell on the news.
Absolutely.
That's how Bismarck wanted to put it.
You buy on the rumor, you sell on the news.
Yes, so the rumor is important when you talk about the market.
But that's
market
for the investors,
hearsay.
but as a journalist, I rely on the news.
Yes, that's the problem here, because we're not investors, we're not the one buying. So we just say, well, this is what is in the news, but again, the rumor, okay, fine. So it's selling down on Forty Oil. But if you look at this particular company, not just doing petroleum retailing, that is at the gas stations, petrol stations, where you buy petrol, diesel, they do lubricants, and of course they're also heavily invested in the power sector. They have one of the Gerego power plants in Kogi State.
Exactly.
So this is a diversified energy company, as it were.
That is something that they had actually thought, well, they had thought that was good. That actually reflected in the books of Forte Oil, in some of the financial statements released, audited financial statements released over time. By way of debts, we know how involved Siemens was in that particular project. It was also supposed to bring about some profits, some gains to the company. But you know how it is when you invest in heavily, as Forte Oil did, in a company or in a project project, you wait for a period of time to be able to bring back some profit. However, things have changed. This particular company, unfortunately, in 2016, when the economic recession set in, it impacted on the earnings of the company. It impacted on the performance of that particular project where so much investment had gone into. It also impacted on the net worth of the chairman then. We all know this was made public in the magazines. Again, the devaluation of the naira impacted on the net worth of this particular individual who had so much stake in the company. And at that point in time, we started seeing the sharp decline, which then fell all the way from 360 naira through to the support level, the resistance level. The key resistance level changed twice. First, we saw it at 154 naira. It was there for a long period of time, and then it shed to 82 naira, and then from there moved to some 30-something naira, 40-something naira. After that period, we then saw it at the tail end of last year at 17 naira, and that's where we have it as the key support level right now, Bosun.